Alexis, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I appreciate you joining me. For y'all who don't know Alexis, she is my little sister, unrelated kind of. We went to, it's kind of a interesting, usually with the Grow With That conversations, I'm talking to people that I know, right? People that I've known for a long time, people that yeah, I've worked with, but we haven't worked together, you know,
No, not yet.
not
No,
yet. They say it, but that's why,
not
that's
yet.
why I like to talk to you. But we've got a lot of similarities. So what I do know is that you are an incredibly bright light and with an incredible voice, I have to say. And did we meet in Miami?
We did.
We met in
We
Miami.
did.
We went to the University of Miami together. And I remember walking with you a little bit, from the theater
Yeah.
department all the way around to the UC. And so
hmm
the reason why I want the Incredible Alexis here is because I've been talking to so many people that, have been established in the business for like, 10 years or more. But I want to include the perspective of someone who like recently graduated and
Yep.
you graduated from my alma mater in 2020.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I know it's complicated, but thank you
Thank you.
for being
Thank
here.
you.
How are you right now?
I'm great. I'm home, just doing the whole quarantine thing inside, wearing a mask. So
Yeah. I see you got those blinds, those Miami blinds there behind you. That,
yep, of course, the pink coral look.
those 305.
yeah.
Now I know that so you just graduated in 2020. I remember, you graduated in musical theater, right?
hmm
And part of musical theater artists, what they do is, if you're very fortunate, your school has this access, like the University of Miami does. You do a showcase in New York City
Right.
your senior year, just to let the industry sort of see, what you're about, and what just to see who the new talent is from these new schools. Yours was scheduled for
hmm
March.
Ninth,
March.
maybe the 10th.
Did you
hmm
actually get to do it?
We got to do it. We definitely did. We might have been one of the last showcases to happen in New York City.
Mm.
We got to do it that Monday, and it's crazy because I remember the high of being in New York doing what I love, seeing shows, and then I remember that Wednesday when Broadway shut down and New York was in a state of emergency, and it went from a high to being terrified and away from home at the wrong time.
Mm. I I just can't imagine. So what? You got there, you did the showcase March 9th, and I remember
hmm
March 12th. Everyone remembers March 12th. So you heard that. Did you plan to see other shows? Like, how long was the trip supposed to be?
The trip for me, I was supposed to be there from Sunday, March. I don't know the dates. I feel like I'm in a warp zone right now. All the way to that Friday, and I had plans to see different shows. I only got to see one. I got to see Moulin Rouge. And I planned to have lunch with different mentors who I reached out to on Instagram for the first time, and just being in the city and networking and creating a community. And I had to cancel almost everything, including meetings. Um, Very
Mm.
bittersweet, but I am home safe and I'm content right now. And that's all
Well,
I can ask for.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, let's talk about home for a second. What is this?
hmm
So you go home right after that. Do you even have a graduation, or y'all?
No, I have my gown right over there. They wanted to reschedule it for December, but the theater department did a Zoom graduation, which was so dear to our hearts, and we got to be there together as a family with everyone from the cohort. Um, Tears shedding, teachers crying. It was just it was bittersweet. It was the best graduation I could ask for during the pandemic.
Mm, I'm so glad that they did that, and I just feel like it hits extra close to home because you walk the same halls that I walked at the University of Miami, from Heck to the
Mhm.
UC to Mahoney to the dining hall,
Mhm.
and
Mahoney.
I understand exactly what you went through in that conservatory. Like, the blood, sweat, and tears, you know, to do the shows at the Ring Theater, you know,
Yeah.
it's all of that. And so now from that to a Zoom graduation and to, you know, I'm glad that you got to do the showcase, but now what has the last couple months been like, you know, as a recent grad, you know, in the wake of, you know, being in a pandemic and, you know,
Mhm.
everything that's, you know, happening right now with the Black community. I know it's a lot with all of us, but
Right.
being a Black female artist in this moment, what is that, what does that mean? How are you feeling with all that?
Uh, Loaded question.
Very low, very loaded.
I um I had to be comfortable in the reset that I was um in the beginning. So really take time for myself. I got closer to God. I got closer to my family, which this is my first time being home for this long,
Mm.
which was weird for my mom. She tried to kick me out a few times. She's gonna hate me for saying that, but she did. Um,
Hey.
and after I got myself together spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, then the second wave of pandemic came in, and that was the racial and social pandemic that we're all in right now. And I feel like surviving alone is almost as bad as not surviving at all. So I felt by myself for a little bit, being the artist that I am, one of the only Black students in my class, and I reached out to other Black students from different conservatories all around, and I tried to create community
Mm.
and find a family, and I am very proud to say that these people that I met maybe 3 months ago, some people a month ago, we truly feel like family, and we all say that Corona created community, not competition. So instead of meeting each other at Pearl, going for the same role, we met on Zoom, and we created art, and we talked about Shakespeare plays, and we talked about Lynn Nottage and Dominique Morisseau, and we just talked, and we fellowshipped together, which I think was beautiful for the mind. And then from there, I realized that to be an artist is to be an activist. So find out where your front line is. So I found out that my front line was behind the computer, typing, emailing to professors, talking to different organizations about how, as a student, can, well, not a student anymore, but someone who just left the institution, how can I, as an individual, help? So I joined Broadway for Racial Justice as one of the co-chairs for the Educational Allies Action Committee.
Yes.
And so I'm realizing that my calling is to just be a voice for the people who aren't heard.
Wow, Alexis, that's massive. I say I gave you a question that was a lot to unpack. You gave me an answer that's a lot to unpack because you're talking about in the midst of one of the biggest moments probably in your life, and it's certainly in my
Yeah.
life. You know, um, as a you found a calling, but in
Mm-hmm.
finding that calling, you linked with other people, right? So you did the work of reaching out, and this is what I call like finding your growth lifers, like the people that are going to help you grow. You're literally knocking on doors via email and DM.
Mm-hmm.
Are you part of my community? Do you value
Hmm.
what I value? Are you interested in going further with your art? And what does activism mean to you? How are we growing with our art together? And I think that's just an amazing thing. And for someone who's coming right out of school in the midst of all this, can I just give you an applause real quick?
Thank you. I had to grow up real quick.
You know, you got thrown in the water. But what that work that you're talking about is some of the most important work that whether you just graduated or whether you've been in the business for 15 years or 30 years, we can start. And that is how we find a better relationship with
Right.
our art, right? Because it sounds like what you realize is it's not just about being fierce, about belting your face off, which I know you can.
No.
I've seen, there's YouTube evidence. But, you know, activism now. So you've gotten involved. So how did you just you emailed a place like Broadway Racial Justice? You know, you DM'd the founders. How did you get in touch with them? Because I think the steps are
So
important.
the steps are crazy on my side, which is why I know it's a true calling, not something I fully planned out. On Facebook, I saw a post about someone trying to make a community for the class of 2020 and partnering with BFRJ. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go to that Zoom meeting. Let me go to that Zoom meeting and feel important. So I went and truly felt a wave of inspiration from that one meeting with a few of the board directors. And from then on, I made sure I stayed in contact and stayed on with their mission statement. I truly, truly trust everything that they are doing on that side of the world right now, well, in New York. But and I remember just being in meetings in the emo chain, and then from then on, accepting this leadership role and feeling like I have a family that actually is listening.
Wow, wow. I want to break that down for a second, Alexis. You know, kind of out of necessity, you know, you reached out. You were like, "Is there anybody out there?" You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know: is that something that just started now out of this moment, or is that like when you were at the University of Miami or growing up in Miami? Is that something that were you always just brave like that? Like, how did you cultivate that, or was this an isolated thing?
I have I think I've always been this kind of person. I believe that the worst thing someone can do is just not answer, and that's just the truth. So while we were doing showcase and people were sending out these postcards, I was writing DMs and I was like, "Hey, can you want to stop by? If you don't, let's have lunch." And people actually responded. And growing up in this house filled with strong Black women, I'm raised by my mother who's a single parent. She taught me that to be brave is to be human. To experience life is the most important thing. So am I going to just hide because this person has like a certified sign on their name? No, I feel like a human is a human and we can have a connection. So I've been doing that since probably 8th grade.
You know what? That bravery though is everything. Like we need to bottle that. Like I feel, especially as artists, we need to bottle that bravery and say, what's the worst that can happen? When you're looking for
Right.
people to collaborate with, or just to spin an idea more, I can tell you, like in this time, these 4 months, like for me, that's what it's been about. Like I'm in my room, you know, and people are like, well, yeah, you see this stuff up here, and
Yep.
but like, what I think what Grow With That is about for me is celebrating the mindful actions we take to live inspired lives. The action that you're taking, have you taken to reach out and say, what's the worst that could happen? Because I'm so focused on where I want to be and who I want to collaborate with. You focused on those actions. And for me, 15 years in, I need to do that now too, to get out of this rut. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's never about, you know, was I on my graduation stage? Was I on the Broadway stage? You know, what at some point we still have to take these actions and celebrate them as much as we would celebrate getting a contract or a diploma or, you know. So I love that. I want to talk a little bit about your upbringing for a second, because you know, these island folks.
Yeah.
You are from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And my family is also, my parents are from Jamaica, so I'm of Jamaican descent. And, you know, what do you think? I'll say my piece first, and I want to see if you can relate.
Okay.
I grew up, you already know. I was fortunate to grow up with a pride, you know, that I can't really describe, and that some of my Black American friends didn't necessarily have. That was just like, I'm royalty. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll say it. You know what I mean? Like, that's Jamaican people. Despite they literally got their independence in '62. You know, but like,
Right.
they never thought of themselves as less than, they always, and from a biblical place, like just above always, never beneath, so
Right.
did you grow up with that kind of sense too? And there's no
Yeah.
wrong. I'm literally just curious because I've talked to a lot of island folks, especially around the Caribbean, that grew up with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up being told that I I am the best. I am
Mm,
the best, my best self, and I am royalty. That's actually is something that we've always said in my family, that the worst thing you could do is not be yourself. And
mm,
that's because you are the best version of yourself. Don't try to be nobody else. So I have always been authentic because of my upbringing. Um,
mm.
yeah, and with our, we're a very Christian household, very holy group of people. From then on, I just had a foundation of hope and a foundation of faith. So it's always grounded in a way.
That's amazing. And I think there are a lot of people listening that maybe not didn't have that upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
I too grew up in a Christian household. You don't have that. You can get hope and faith from a lot of different places, but having that as a growing up is massive.
Right, right.
Um, and so now when you think about approaching this career in the art at a moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? you know, what does that mean for you now as a young woman who is, you've got all this in front of you, your spiritual life, that hope and that faith, you know, is that something that you think about on a daily basis? What is that like in action for you? Is that, is it a constant knowing of this? I have this as a foundation, or is there something you say? Is there a practice that you have that helps?
Mm, yes, I practice mindfulness, and I wake up and give myself affirmations. So it's, I'm very happy I'm in my bedroom because then
Oh,
we
come
can
on,
see
bring them
this.
out.
I have Alexis Affirmations, and I open it every morning. My mom made this for me, by the way. And I take one out and I just read it.
Oh,
I
can
do
you
it
read that
every
one?
morning. Yeah, I can. Let's see. Huh. My life is an adventure filled with opportunity and reward.
Come on, come on.
Right? And it's always perfect for that time, what I'm feeling that day of the week, how I'm feeling at the moment I open this. This was perfect for this conversation because
Oh,
I would have never thought that I would be in the room right now just talking to you. It's about adventure. It's about not questioning the steps,
not
just
question.
taking them.
Taking them.
That's what it is for me. Yeah.
I so appreciate your upbringing, your bravery. You know, um, what do what's your what do you what I want to know one of your like dreams, one of your or I don't know how much you think about goals. I know it's incredible that
Mm-hmm.
you just graduated. A lot of folks are like, it's amazing to just be a working actress,
Yeah.
but like in your best world, like what's Alexis's dream?
Um, my dream is to create new work. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be the name that you see on the album, the original cast album. I want to be there from the workshop all the way through so I can experience the process that everyone dreams to have. And I want to tell stories that are important because art imitates life. And if we're not just talking about one person's life, we're talking about all lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to tell stories that aren't about trauma, that aren't about uh, slavery or our black horror films. Um, it's about just being black and living.
Mm-hmm.
That's my dream. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Are there people, you know, who have you been? You saying since you've been in the eighth grade, you've been just reaching out to folks, DMing folks. Like folks
Yeah.
that like it's an honor to, like, we've met before, but to speak to you about these things. Who else have you been reaching out to? Because I think that this bravery is so important. We think, well, I think, why not?
Why not? Yeah. Well, this person I didn't reach out to, I met him at Young Art. I know he's impacted your life also. Michael McElroy, a big mentor of mine, who kind of is the reason why I still do theater, because I actually was like, maybe not theater, maybe jazz voice when I was auditioning for colleges. And then with one phone call from him, I was like, all right, okay, I'm auditioning for conservatories. I get it. And then I reached out to Aisha Jackson randomly, just because we're talking about in auditioning class, who is one person that you woke up one day, you saw a post about them, and they inspired you. So seeing her covering Princess Anna in Frozen, I was like, oh, Disney princess. Okay, that's inspirational. Or like Amber Iman, how unapologetic she is what I want to be. I want to be unapologetic. I want to not be afraid of what other people think or how other people perceive me, because I'm authentic. And she just screams authentic. She tells me that it's okay to be beautiful, bold, strong, and yet vulnerable in this business as a Black woman.
Wow.
And I don't even know if she knows she does this for young people. I remember seeing one random video when she was playing Peggy, and I was like, oh, who's that? Research now, and I said, that's who I want to be like. That's amazing.
You know what? I know her very well. She'll be blessed to see this, and it's people like her. I'm so glad to know that you are admiring folks that have these qualities of boldness, of unapologetic, nature, but that can be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
As a human, first and foremost, that's incredible. We need that. As an artist, we need that. I think as Black people, we need that too.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone needs that, but we have been told and trained to walk through spaces a little more as schooled and as tight and neatly as possible.
Right. Like rocks.
And that's,
we're taught to be stones.
yeah, and just don't rock the boat.
Yeah.
Amber Iman, and since we're talking about her, is one of those people that I've admired for years, and she's doing incredible work with the Broadway Advocacy Coalition and so much.
Yeah.
Phenomenal artist, unapologetic. She's a rocket for fairness and justice, and I'm just so glad that to hear that that's someone that you clung toward. I want to ask you a question, because I want to learn from you, and I want to help in whatever way I can. Part of my passion would grow with that is just to talk about growth and a mindset that leads towards a better relationship with our art. So from someone like me, Alexis, what would you want? How can I help you more? How can I, yeah, I'm going to leave it really open, but I've been in the business for 14 years now, and I've walked a lot of these streets, on Broadway, TV, and film and music industry, and you are who I'm talking to. You're who I want to pave. I want to try to make space for. So right. I know that's a big question, but I want,
yeah.
I
think, and starting with this conversation's already done that for me. I think building a relationship of mentorship will probably help me the most, because this industry is terrifying, and even though it's going to be a little different when we all get back there, because we are all in a reset mode, I think learning from someone like you, who I have looked up to the majority of my life, especially like from Sex and the City days, when I just saw you open that door, I was like, that's Joshua Henry. Uh, I do feel like seeing my worth, and it's not like I need validation, but seeing worth in someone that you have admired for years has already changed my mindset and opened possibilities. So I feel like a relationship or mentorship will be great. And just, I don't know, I don't want it to be like, take me with you, but the doors are very hard to open right now because our chance of showcase, even though I had one in front of the few people who came, who were brave enough to go out in New York City during the state of emergency, a lot of us didn't have that chance. So how do we open doors that are kind of locked right now because we're all in the pandemic? How do we get in the room to talk to these people? And I feel like you would play such a good part in that for me.
Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate that you would, you know, that you see me the way that you do. But you know, so it's just an amazing moment to talk to someone who, I mean, we've literally sat and walked in the same spaces. You know, we've had the same upbringing. And what I want to let you know that I hope that the message that you get is that it's more than possible. You know, it's more than possible. You know, you already come from a place of hope and faith where you understand that there are no ceilings for you. When I got to New York, there wasn't exactly a network that I was aware of, you know, that I could be like, oh, okay, you know, and I couldn't DM nobody because the Instagram wasn't here in 2006. So,
right.
you know, now I realize, you know, that like this connection that we can at least have here um, is a big thing. And what I hoped, if there's anything that you get from me, I hope it's the culture of always having an eye on the next graduate. You know what I mean? That's the culture that I want to build. That's, you know, because I might not have all the answers for you. You know, I'm going to try to kick doors down for you, you know, but we see each other and we connect and we say, I, I know what you value. You know, I know what your dreams are, your aspirations are. And I need to communicate that, you know, to quite literally like the people in my space, the producers. You know, I'm thinking about producing now. You know, I want you involved in the things that I do, and I want your perspective because, you know, I want to stay connected to why I'm here. You know what I mean? I never want to lose sight of. I remember when I graduated in '06 with my BM, and I came to New York in my tie singing Run and Tell That in Old Man River. The book is different now in some ways, but you know what I mean? Like I won't I pray that I don't lose sight of that.
Right.
And the idea that someone is gonna look at you, Alexis, and say, man, I didn't know that that was possible. I didn't know that was possible. You know that someone's gonna look at you that way?
Yeah.
And then you'll have a choice to, you know, an opportunity to say, you know what, here's how I did it, boo. You know, I'm like here's, you know, I went in there and I didn't take someone's limited view of me as my truth. You know, I walked in there, you know, understanding that I wanted to be, and this is just me now, the best singer, the best performer that I could be, understanding that who I was spiritually was way more important than how anyone else saw me. That focus, that understanding, that truth is what has helped me to walk. And I'm proud that, you know, to have these roles, to walk in rooms with everybody and to have producers be like, hey, come here, I want you to do something. And to be able to sit there and be like, yeah, I can grow into that. I can do that, you know? And so, you know, I'm glad to have, I told you I was gonna keep this in short, but like, I'm glad to have made this true connection with you.
Yeah.
You know, it's ongoing, and I think we think about like how we get mentors and, you know, how do we develop that. And, you know, sometimes it's, just checking in every couple of weeks, or, it could be once a month, but like, that you always have this, that like you have a connection here.
Yeah.
And
Thank
I
you.
hope that you understand that. Just like Michael was for me, like he is for you. It's a
Yeah.
culture. It's a culture of understanding that we need to reach back and connect. And then we figure out what we're gonna do next. So I want to ask you one more question before I get out of here.
Okay.
What does growth mean to you?
Oh, um, being uncomfortable and still just riding it out. See what A to B is for you.
Jam, jam. Alexis, it's an honor to speak with you. Thank you for joining
Oh,
me. I'm wishing you the best in
thank you.
growth. And I can't wait to see what comes next. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.